Let us dive into this wild respawn story. It all started when Dad brought his war buddy's daughter home, and feelings totally happened. But get this, my absolute best bro was also secretly crushing hard on her behind my back. In my previous life, thanks to that fake friend's terrible advice, I confessed to her right before the biggest college entrance exam ever. It took her barely 30 minutes to reject me completely with absolute freezing iceberg energy. My mind broke. I failed epically, and my completely disappointed parents kicked me out. Meanwhile, that traitor played the nice guy and smoothly became family. But when I opened my eyes again, boom, I respawned into the past. A true second chance at life. Even though the horrible confession just happened, I still had 30 minutes before exams started. This time I had zero interest in suffering for unrequited love. Armed with maxed out knowledge from my previous life, plus a full spoiler guide for the future, I just wanted to speedrun into Crown University, the ultimate top school, and live a completely fabulous drama-free life. With 30 minutes left on the clock, my non-biological older sister Stella came looking for me. Now watch this carefully. She told me she would treat my nonsense confession like a joke, her voice completely freezing cold. Focus on your exam now. 2 months from today, I will wait for you at Southwest University. I turned toward Stella. She wore her military uniform, looking totally stoic, standing tall, slender, and honestly just undeniably attractive. Seeing my total silence, she frowned slightly. That was the exact wake-up call I needed. I quickly snapped back, grabbed my pencil case, and said, "Hey, sis, the exam is starting." "Gotta run." Stella totally froze. She never expected the boy who clung to her like a puppy to just dip so fast. I totally ignored her completely shocked expression anyway. I sprinted outside, grabbed a cab, and headed straight for the exam center. I would never chase Stella again and ruin my entire future. This time I was fully grabbing my second chance. For this test, I aimed for the absolute top, wanting to reach a prestigious university and spread my wings across the whole wide world. When I finally finished the last paper and strutted out of the exam hall, the sun was already setting. Reporters swarmed outside trying to interview stressed students. I tried nudging through the huge crowd, but a smartphone suddenly blocked my way completely. "Hey, Dylan, rumor has it you got brutally rejected after a big love confession yesterday. Did that ruin your exam vibe today?" Before I could answer, a figure emerged from the crowd wearing a crisp white shirt and a short haircut. It was Trent. "Guys, please stop asking," he shouted. "Dylan just got rejected right before the exam. His mental state is totally ruined." Yeah, there it is. You and I both know this fake nice guy act. The painful memories of my miserable past life suddenly flooded back. Every single tragedy I suffered was totally caused by this guy. The one who pushed me into confessing was Trent. The one who made my parents totally disown me was Trent. Later, seeing his insanely smug face next to Stella, I finally understood it all. The reason Trent did all of this was because he secretly wanted Stella too. My totally miserable past life was just a convenient stepping stone for his romance to start. I shoved Trent, who was acting fake, out of the way and calmly faced the reporters. "There is nothing wrong with liking someone, and confessing is definitely no crime," I said smoothly. "But trivial drama does not affect me. I am 100% sure I aced this exam. Thanks, everyone." At that exact moment, golden sunlight draped over me, my shadow stretching super long and heroic across the ground. I walked briskly toward home. In my past life, I dreamed of returning to this wonderful safe haven countless times. Finally, that dream was reality. Suddenly, a super familiar, loving voice rang out. I looked up and saw my dad exactly as I remembered him. He was waiting right under the big old locust tree near the gate. Dad looked at me, a quick hint of disappointment flashing in his eyes. "I heard everything you said to Stella yesterday." He sighed very heavily. "I never dared tell your mother. Stella is your sister Dylan." Looking at his deeply worried face, my heart really ached. In my previous life, that foolish confession made me the absolute center of toxic gossip. My poor parents were dragged into a horrible whirlpool of public hate. Overnight, their hair turned completely white. Walking beside him and seeing his thin face, I just wanted to hug his arm. "Dad, I totally confused my dependence on her with actual romantic love. From now on, I treat Stella only as an older sister. Nothing more." The gloomy cloud on my dad's face finally lifted just a little bit. We pushed the gate open, finding Stella waiting. Dad patted my shoulder and went inside. "Trust me, you and I are in for a wild ride." "All right, you and I are about to witness a massive shift." The warm evening sun illuminated Stella's icy face as we simply stood there in total silence. Finally, I broke the tension with a casual smile. Hey, my crazy rambling from yesterday probably really annoyed you. I honestly was not thinking straight. I'm so sorry. Please ignore it. From now on, we are just going to be family forever. Hearing my super calm explanation, a bizarre spark of pure annoyance suddenly flared in Stella's chest. Just yesterday, I was literally holding her hand declaring love. Yet overnight, my entire attitude completely flipped 180 degrees. Did I actually drop those crazy feelings, or was I just playing hard to get? Stella hit me with that classic lecturing glare. It is great that you think that way. The big college exam is a massive turning point in life. You absolutely must focus on the right path. I just kept my smile and nodded. Stella grabbed a university brochure from her room and tossed it to me. The cutoff score for Southwest University is honestly always sky high. You need to give it your absolute best to enter that dream school. I simply looked down. In my hand sat the admission poster for Southwest University. My casual smile slightly hitched for a second, but I stayed quiet. Now watch closely. In my past life, every single effort was a desperate attempt to chase Stella. That is exactly why I chose Southwest University, located right beside her military base. The crazy result, not only did I totally fail to win her, I honestly ended up with lifelong absolute misery. It was incredibly rare getting a second chance at life. This time around, I fully planned to trust my own personal choices. Crown University was where I truly needed to go. I desperately wanted to study linguistics, my ultimate passion. Exploring diverse cultures, experiencing unique ethnic customs, and writing it all out so the entire world could finally appreciate this beautiful land. Watching Stella walk back to her room, I wisely decided to keep my massive university switch completely hidden. After all, we were definitely going to live totally separate lives anyway. Thinking that I just stayed quiet, I quickly grabbed my books, went back inside my room, switched the radio on, and started intensely reviewing my notes, completely immersing myself in the one field I genuinely loved. I did not emerge until dinner time. It felt like forever since I saw my whole family gathered around the table. Back in my past life, those brutal scandals made me way too ashamed. I blindly wandered everywhere like a totally lost stray. This was the exact warm scene I deeply yearned for. Thinking about it choked me up. Villain, what is really on your mind? Did you actually bomb that test? Mom warmly asked while dropping an extra piece of egg into my bowl. I shook my head and smiled. No, Mom, I did great. Mom instantly beamed. That is wonderful. Are you confident you will get into Southwest University? Your older sister works nearby. She can totally take care of you. My mom still had not noticed my change. She continued, your dad and I are getting old. College is super far from home, and the coursework is heavy, so you will rarely visit. Honestly, having your sister there puts our worried minds totally at ease. The words got totally stuck in my throat, but I was not ready to drop the truth. I will be 18 by the end of this summer, Mom. I am going to learn how to properly take care of myself. Do not worry. After dinner, I planned to help wash the dishes, but Mom basically shooed me away to rest and shower. As I stepped right out of the bathroom, casually drying my hair, I suddenly spotted a super familiar silhouette standing in the courtyard. Stella's icy voice rang out calmly. You felt that tension too, right? She asked about my dinner silence, and my hand completely froze. Back in my past life, I constantly followed Stella around like a puppy while she stayed entirely focused on her rising career. She purely wanted to fulfill that massive border defense mission Uncle Finn had left behind. She genuinely never bothered looking at the annoying little brother constantly trailing right behind her. I never expected her to actually care this much about my feelings. I gave a faint smile. It is totally nothing. I just suddenly thought about leaving home so soon and honestly felt a bit nostalgic. Under that hazy moonlight, Stella silently stared at her little brother, still a full head shorter than her. For some absolutely bizarre reason, she felt like I had completely grown distant, no longer incredibly easy to read. I just quietly stared right up at the twinkling stars in that night sky. Later on, there definitely would not be many chances to enjoy this absolute peace. My old teacher once told me after entering college, your hometown totally loses both spring and autumn. Only winter and summer actually remain. The older we get, the less we return home. We instantly fell into a strained, eerie silence. Right at that very moment, Mom happily walked right out of the kitchen. Stella, the local matchmaker, literally just dropped by. She desperately wants to introduce you to someone named Trent. He wants a blind date with you. Why do you not just meet him before heading back to the army and see how it goes? Hearing this, Stella immediately nodded in full agreement. Sure, Mom, you arrange it. Great, Mom laughed happily. I will tell the matchmaker. So what do you and I make of this sudden blind date setup? If they actually click, it is a done deal. Trust me, things get wild. All right, come along with me. We are diving into a really wild second chance story today. As my mom left, I watched Stella preparing to head inside too. Knowing exactly how utterly toxic Trent was from my past life, I just had to open my mouth and warn her. Zeta Trent is definitely not a nice guy. You really need to be careful on your blind date tomorrow. Stella just glared right at me. Dylan, you have totally changed. Trent is supposed to be your best bro. Why would you trash him behind his back like that? With those words, she stormed into her room and completely slammed the door shut. I stood there totally frozen. In my previous life, I had completely missed just how deeply she trusted and actually defended that snake Trent. A wave of helplessness hit me hard. Maybe I was just stressing over nothing at all. Oh well. Honestly, whoever she chooses to marry is simply not my problem anymore. I went back to my room, killed the lights, and completely crashed for the night. I needed serious energy for tomorrow's exam. At 7:30 sharp the next morning, my alarm started blaring loudly. I inhaled my breakfast, double-checked my ID and pens, and rushed straight over to the testing room. Handing in my paper and walking out, my tense face finally relaxed completely. Staying up late to cram that extra material had actually paid off big time. This time around, I knew my scores would easily exceed all expectations. I smiled. My absolutely brutal study grind was officially finished. The clock ticked down its last seconds and the final bell echoed loudly. We were completely done. 10 entire years of schooling packed into those single pages. I strolled out, dropping all my heavy stress and feeling totally free. Riding high on this amazing vibe, I headed straight for the village gates. But watch closely here. The second I stepped through, everyone started glaring at me with these completely twisted, judgmental stares. 2 steps in and harsh, malicious whispers were already stabbing my ears. Look, it is the Smith family brat. Here he actually tried to propose to his very own sister. What a morally bankrupt creep. No decent university will ever take him. His grandpa must be so ashamed of this massive loser. Their ancestral luck is totally cursed to produce him. If he was my kid, I would have chased him out ages ago. The boy has absolutely zero shame. He completely humiliated the entire Phoenix village and still has the nerve to show his face around here. Hearing that, my body felt completely frozen solid. The absolute nightmare of my previous life was suddenly repeating itself. Back then, that wild confession rumor completely destroyed my reputation almost overnight. My mind just totally crashed. The heavy shame made me want to dig a hole and completely vanish forever. By the time I finally tried explaining myself, it was already way too late. Nobody believed me. They even dragged my parents down, loudly cursing them and saying my foolishness was their sin. I clenched my fists super tight. Spinning around, I kept my chin up and faced the angry crowd. Listen up, everyone, I shouted with absolute confidence. Stella and I share zero blood relation, so there is absolutely nothing degenerate happening here. Having feelings is not illegal. You and I see his growth. I was just young, confusing reliance with romance, but I have clearly thought it through now. I will sincerely cheer for whoever Stella marries. But if you guys keep spreading this malicious trash behind my back, I will literally call the police for serious defamation. Slander is a major crime. Living a whole second life taught me one huge truth. Silence just feeds the rumors, and running away always makes everything completely worse. This time, I was firmly standing my ground. The entire crowd backed off, totally intimidated by my fierce and unyielding new energy. The whole street fell completely dead silent. I marched straight back home. Walking inside, Mom was already bringing hot food from the kitchen. Lunch is completely ready. We are just waiting for your sister to get back, so go wash your hands quickly. I grabbed a plate and asked super casually, where did Stella run off to? Mom just beamed with absolute joy. She finally opened her mind. Her big blind date with Trent is tomorrow, remember? She went downtown to buy him something nice. I just listened, feeling completely undisturbed. The only truly shocking part was that Stella actually valued Trent that much. A girl who literally ignored everyone her whole life was now actually wasting time picking out a fancy present for that exact guy. Right as the last plate hit the table, Stella walked in hauling a whole bunch of different-sized shopping bags. Peeking inside, I spotted a designer shirt, a bag, and a sleek leather belt. Wow, Stella, why did you buy so much stuff? Mom laughed warmly as she entered. I picked up some nice things for you and Dad as well, Stella quickly replied. You guys work so hard, so here is a treat. You silly girl, you just got a job. You need to save those paychecks. We already have everything we need. I just sat there listening to them, absolutely not saying a single word. I quietly finished my favorite braised pork, stood up, and went straight into my room. Entering my room, that framed photo of Stella and me caught my eye. I stepped closer, staring at our bright smiles. Trust me, you are going to want to see what happens next. Let's dive right into this mystery. From day one, when Stella first arrived, she actually treated me incredibly well, like when I was 10 and got super sick from the rain. She cooled my fever with warm towels, staying awake all night. At 12, when older kids tried bullying me, Stella instantly stepped up, defending me without a second thought. The perfect honor student actually screamed at them for my sake. Then at 15, I foolishly got totally lost, playing in the mountain woods. Stella panicked, searching desperately all night long before safely carrying me home herself. But then she joined the military and our strong bond slowly faded. Now she was getting married. I was heading off to Crown University, and these old warm memories would just fade away into absolute nothingness. Pushing down my feelings, I grabbed a dusty box from the closet, packing away every single souvenir of Stella. Even our only photo together, a gifted pencil case and childhood toys, went in. I set the packed box aside, ready to toss it all tomorrow morning. Come morning, the exact moment I stepped out carrying my box, her bedroom door swung open. Watch this carefully. Stella wore a brand new pink dress instead of her uniform. Glancing at my box, she calmly asked what I was taking outside. I calmly replied that it was just old study materials and childhood toys. I claimed I would donate them. Stella simply nodded, not questioning me any further. Walking toward the gate, she paused right before leaving, telling me to let Mom know she would skip dinner tonight. I stood there quietly, watching her figure vanish from the courtyard. Then I stared down at our shared picture sitting right on top of everything. My eyes narrowed, a totally self-mocking smile tugging my lips. Stella really did not care anymore. She totally missed that the frame showing right there was our only photo ever taken together. Stepping out into the street, I decisively tossed that entire pile of old memories right into a random trash can. Following breakfast, I caught a bus straight into town, planning to grab essential personal gear for college. I trekked completely across the city, checking countless bookstores until I finally scored a super detailed guidebook covering Crown University. Next up, I hit the mall, buying a thermos and simple daily essentials like a fresh wash basin. Finally passing a pharmacy, I remembered my mom coughing last night. I immediately went inside, buying her essential vitamins and syrup. Looking at all those heavy bags I carried, I was heading back toward the village bus stop. But passing a fancy jewelry shop, a super enthusiastic salesgirl's voice suddenly echoed out. She claimed the watch suited him perfectly. Hearing that, I instinctively glanced right inside. Stella and Trent instantly caught my attention. Stella was gently holding his hand, sliding a wildly luxurious watch onto his wrist. An absolutely perfect match. Those were honestly the only words popping into my head right then. You probably expect drama here, but my heart felt nothing. I casually looked away, ready to leave. But Trent quickly grabbed Stella, walking right out. He loudly called my name, claiming a coincidence. I replied, totally indifferent, saying I just needed supplies. Trent's face clearly showed absolute smugness. He kept grinning, bragging about their amazing blind date and upcoming marriage, asking if I minded their super fast romance at all. While speaking, he purposely flexed his hand back and forth, obnoxiously showing off that wildly expensive watch. I completely ignored the flashy watch. Keeping my super calm tone, I simply told him no. I already decided to keep my distance. So whatever they planned doing literally meant nothing to me anymore. Trent totally froze in pure shock. He never expected my icy reaction. Things were going completely off his little scripted power trip. Forcing a stiff smile, he deliberately told the woman beside him that we would all be family soon anyway, claiming me as a brother. Stella looked at Trent, gently giving a slight nod. I simply smiled, staying silent. Having survived plenty of bitter lessons before, I already fully understood Trent's incredibly fake true colors. Zero interest in his drama. We would never be friends. Trent's fake smile became painfully forced by the absolute second. He awkwardly asked if I wanted to tag along while they finished shopping. I firmly said no need. Refusing instantly without a single second of hesitation, I announced I was done, grabbing the very next bus straight home. Stella stood completely still, staring intensely at my fading back. Her gaze grew dark and incredibly complicated, but she stayed completely silent. Once home, I gave the vitamins and cough syrup straight to my mom, then quietly retreated to my room. Sitting down, I happily opened that university guide. Trust me, our real journey starts here. Stick with me here. I was so captivated by the school's rich history reading so intensely, I completely missed that the sun went down. Right then, a sudden knock hit the door. I got up, pulled it open, and there she was, Stella just standing there. I saw your light was still on. Why are you up so late? I replied. Totally calm, I am just about to sleep. Stella studied my face, her brows pulling together. She could definitely sense that my whole vibe around her had grown ice cold lately. That sudden shift sparked a weird, completely unexplainable flash of annoyance deep inside her. Her eyes scanned the room, quickly landing on a blank spot on my desk. Where is that one picture frame you always keep right there? I threw a glance at the desk. A harmless lie slipped right out. I sent it out for repairs, no big deal. The moment she heard that, the tight, heavy feeling in her chest finally relaxed. Get some sleep then. Good night. With that, she turned and headed out. In my previous life, I never dared lie to Stella. She always read me like an open book. But right now, she could not detect my lies at all. I gave myself a mental high five, shut the door, and crashed. For the next few days, I just read and calmly waited for my big exam scores. As for Stella, out early, back late, super busy, building up her little sweet romance with Trent, things stayed totally quiet until June 24th, the day those big entrance exam scores finally dropped. Bright and early, I headed to school to check my results. Right as I hit the main gate, a sleek white Centaurner suddenly rolled up. Dylan, are you here for your scores too? I almost ignored the voice entirely until I realized someone was actually calling my name out loud. I spun around as a stunning girl stepped out of the car, flashing a brilliant smile. Oh, right, Serena, my classmate. Serena's family background was seriously powerful. A literal heiress with massive backing, but honestly, we had barely shared 2 words before today. I just gave her a polite little nod. Serena completely ignored my cold vibe. She just breezed right up. Let us go in together. So we walked into the teacher's office side by side. Holding that official scorecard, even knowing my own estimates, my chest was still totally heaving with pure, wild anticipation. Now watch closely, guys. My hands shook, heart-hammering, as I flipped it open, my eyes instantly locking onto that final number. The bold ink sat right there on the paper. 689. Every single tight nerve melted away. I checked Crown University cutoffs for years, and they always hovered right around 670. So with this massive score, Crown U was an absolute lock. I quickly thanked Mr. Wang, then dashed outside, super eager to tell my folks the epic news. But man, 0 cabs were around. Luckily, Serena was heading down that exact same route and offered a lift. We pulled up to my place, and I stepped out only to catch Stella and Trent strolling out of the front yard, fingers totally interlocked. I immediately looked away, turning back to properly thank Serena, sitting right there in the driver's seat. Serena kept that bright, cheerful smile going. Dylan, if you actually want to thank me, come to my birthday party in 2 days. I flashed a small smile and nodded. The second Serena drove off, Trent opened his mouth dripping with pure sarcasm. Wait, was that Serena? Are you two dating? She is literally famous for playing around. A dude like you will end up getting crushed. My eyebrows instantly twitched at that. I was just about to snap back when Della's icy voice suddenly cut through. Trent is right. Her family is way out of our league. Back off and stop hanging around her. Plus, you are still young. You really need to learn your actual place. Do not mess around with that crowd. Her high and mighty lecture just made me feel completely ridiculously annoyed. You guys hear this, right? A classmate gives me a totally innocent ride, and she twists it into me, fooling around. Who gave Stella any right to judge my life? I stared dead into her eyes. When I finally spoke, my voice was wrapped in absolute freezing distance. I am an adult now. My friends are my own business. I am feeling tired, so I am going inside. Dropping that, I walked straight through the yard. Della just stood frozen, glaring at my back with this incredibly heavy look. She didn't snap out of it until Trent gently shook her. Honestly, her reaction meant absolutely nothing to me anymore. After sharing the huge score with my parents, my next move was filing the adversity preference form. Wanting 0 interruptions, I purposely picked a day when Stella was out heading to the school library to use their computer in peace. A few days after sending my form, I swung by the library to drop off some books. Heading home, I totally randomly bumped into Serena and her whole squad. I planned to just wave and bounce, but Serena suddenly called my name out loud. Dylan, want to go ice skating? Before I could even reply, her friends jumped right in, teasing, today is the birthday girl's super special day. She wants to go ice skating. That is when it hit me. Today was Serena's birthday. We both know refusing now is just rude, so the whole squad headed straight to the biggest ice rink around. Seeing me frozen there, Serena grabbed some skates and walked right up. Never skated. Do not be scared. I nodded and we entered the rink. But stick with me here because guess who we suddenly bumped into? Stella and Trent. I was totally shocked. I never expected a serious girl like Stella to visit a rink with Trent. I played it cool and said hi. Serena quickly introduced herself to them. Hello, I am Serena. Stella shot her an absolute ice-cold glare. She almost spoke, but the rink music suddenly blasted loudly. Everyone started gliding perfectly to the beat, and the whole vibe instantly turned super lively. Trent excitedly grabbed Stella, trying to pull her to the center. It is starting! Hurry! Stella swallowed her angry words and passively skated along with him. I just stood there giving a faint, mocking smile. As for Serena, she had this entirely different, amazing charm. Being a total beginner, I was honestly pretty nervous. Serena warmly held my hand, guiding me step by step. Bend your knees and let your right foot slightly move into a figure 8. Yes, exactly like that. Serena patiently guided me, making sure to point out everything to watch for. Under her instruction, I slowly got the hang of it and told her to let go. I wanted to skate alone, but I totally overestimated myself. I took 2 shaky steps after letting go and instantly wobbled, nearly crashing hard onto the ice. Luckily, Serena was incredibly fast and pulled me back safely. In that split second, our bodies pressed tightly together. Our breaths mingled, making me completely flustered. Now, pay close attention. Right as I stood up, my eyes caught something awful. Trent had his arms wrapped around Stella. He leaned down slightly and kissed her right on the lips. Time completely froze while the crowd erupted into applause. Serena noticed I looked completely pale and gently asked, "Are you scared? Let us go rest over there." I nodded and we headed away. Serena went straight to the counter for sodas. I stood alone. Right then, a fiercely dressed, flirtatious woman skated over. "Hey, handsome, looking pretty sad all by yourself. Want to hang out with me?" She even tried touching my arm. Thankfully, Serena returned right in time. "What exactly are you doing? Seeing my company?" The woman huffed and skated away. Serena turned around to check on me, but her skates suddenly slipped. Losing balance, she fell toward me. I instinctively reached out and caught her, wrapping my arms tightly around her waist. We collided even more intimately than before. I could feel how soft she was. My heart raced. Before I could even steady myself, Stella's furious voice boomed loudly from behind. "What are you two doing?" We quickly separated. Stella stared at us with eyes like literal ice daggers. Dylan hugging a girl in public. "Do you know what you are doing? Where is your self-respect? Come home with me right now." She aggressively reached out. "Stella, you completely misunderstood." Right at that exact second, Trent suddenly took a massive tumble onto the ice, groaning loudly. Stella instantly shifted her attention. She immediately squatted down frantically, asking what happened. Trent clutched his leg in pain. "Someone just bumped hard into me. I think my ankle is sprained." Hearing that, Stella frantically unlaced him. "Let me help you up. We are going to the hospital." Leaving, she dropped one line. "Go home." I stood completely frozen, watching Trent look back at me with a super triumphant gleam. You and I both know Trent was totally faking it, right? But Stella was clueless. A painful truth. In Stella's heart, Trent was clearly way more important. One second, she was screaming about another girl. The next second, she abandoned me for Trent, leaving me totally alone with some random strange woman. She genuinely did not care anymore. Back home, utterly exhausted. Just as I was about to collapse on my bed, I violently bumped my desk. My pencil holder tipped over, dropping a folded paper rose. I stared quietly, overwhelming sadness washing over me. This was the exact rose Stella folded for me back when we were close. I saw a romantic movie where a girl gifted flowers, so I relentlessly begged Stella to make one for me too. Stella was super annoyed by my pestering, but she learned from a guide and gave me this rose. Back then, she smiled gently, softly, rubbing my head. "Folded it for you." "You are so annoying." Holding that little rose, my hidden feelings powerfully surged. "You feel that, right?" I naively thought Stella loved me. Let's dive right back in. Losing this paper rose used to crush him. He even wanted to ask her for a brand new one, but honestly, way too much drama happened since then. Now looking at this tiny rose today, just pure relief. Sometimes when that intense spark simply fades away, things completely lose their meaning. So he picked up that little paper rose and tossed it straight into the trash. Zero hesitation. Just then, a guy called out loudly from the yard, "Is anybody home right now? Excuse me, does Dylan live here? Are you around, Dylan?" He ran outside and spotted the friendly postman parking his bicycle right at the front gate. The guy was holding an urgent envelope. "That is me. Do you have a special letter?" The postman smiled and handed it over. Dylan ripped it open instantly. And wow, seeing that official Crown University acceptance letter, the massive weight on his chest totally vanished. Everything was perfectly locked in. He slept unbelievably well that night. Waking up, the smell of amazing food filled the air. Right as the family gathered for breakfast, Stella finally walked through the door. Mom immediately asked about Trent. "Oh, he is totally fine," Stella answered smoothly. "Just a super minor sprain. I made sure he got home safe." Hearing this, Dylan just kept his head totally down, eating his meal without saying a single thing. "Now here is where things get interesting. Watch closely." Stella spoke up. "The military sent urgent orders. I need to leave early and head back to base. I am leaving tomorrow morning." His parents looked pretty shocked, but they nodded. Dad broke the silence. "Military orders mean no delaying. Make sure you pack everything right after breakfast." Mom chimed in with a slightly sad sigh. "It is just a pity those big marriage plans have to wait a while now." For whatever reason, Stella instinctively shot a look at Dylan. But seeing him just eating calmly with zero reaction, a super weird wave of deep disappointment suddenly crashed over her heart. Maybe August or even winter is perfectly fine. We still have plenty of time. His parents thought it over and agreed. Then Stella stared right at Dylan, almost like she could not help it. "Your college letter should arrive very soon. Trent actually applied to Southwest University too. You guys can definitely travel there together. Going to the exact same school means you can watch each other's backs." "Absolutely. It would be so perfect if you went together," his parents happily agreed. Meanwhile, Dylan just thought about that secret Crown University letter he got yesterday. He really hesitated, wondering if he should reveal the massive truth. Mom turned right to Stella, completely serious. "Once Dylan arrives at Southwest University, you better make sure to take amazing care of your brother. I worry about him constantly." Hearing her sweet concern, Dylan quietly swallowed his food and decided to just keep his mouth totally shut. He hated making his mom stress or lose any sleep. He figured he would just handle all this chaos once he actually moved. Let's pause for a second. 4 people sitting at the dinner table together, but everyone is thinking totally differently. Early next morning, everyone got up to say goodbye to Stella. Before she walked away, he gave a super polite little farewell. "Have a really safe trip." Stella nodded back, giving him a very strict look. "Serena is completely unpredictable, honestly. You really need to watch your back from now on. College is starting so soon. Stay totally out of trouble and just focus on studying. Do not let everyone else pass you by." When you get to Southwest, Dylan just listened quietly. No arguments, no fake promises. But Stella kept staring, practically demanding some kind of answer. So he gave a completely lazy nod. "Yeah, I got it. You should head out now." He truly did not want to speak anymore. Stella grabbed the car door, but then Trent yelled from down the street. Stella literally ran to catch him. "Your leg is still hurt. Why on earth did you come outside?" "You are leaving for base today. I obviously had to see you off. I am fine." Cue the super dramatic, teary-eyed goodbye between those two. Dylan, though, he just spun around and walked straight back into the house. He never even glanced back. Strangely, Stella suddenly snapped her head back to watch him walk away. This super weird, heavy feeling hit her chest, totally throwing her off. It genuinely felt like she would never see him again. But she quickly shook it off. She convinced herself they would obviously hang out again once he finally started classes at Southwest University. Anyway, Tyler chatted with Trent a bit more, jumped into the military jeep, and sped off. The whole day completely vanished, and that night Dylan started packing all his bags early. Tomorrow morning, he was finally leaving this town for Crown University. He already looked up the capital and knew those winters were going to be absolutely freezing. So he tossed in extra cozy winter clothes. Every single thing he needed was packed up tight. While clearing out his desk, he actually stumbled onto 2 old family pictures. One was from when he was super little, way before Stella arrived. Just Mom, Dad, and him. The second one was taken with Stella about 2 years ago, and that is where we leave it. He packed the photo of just the 3 of them and went to sleep. You and I know things are about to get wild. Let's jump right into an epic new beginning. I slept perfectly that night. Before sunrise, I left a simple letter in the living room and sneaked out quietly with my suitcase. Total silence everywhere. Both of my parents were fast asleep. Before heading out, I glanced back at their room one last time. All my swirling emotions came down to one simple thought. Take care, Mom and Dad. Then I firmly walked right out of that courtyard. 30 minutes later, I was riding a train straight toward the capital. My mind instantly flashed back to my past life, remembering the absolute humiliation of being chased right out of my own village. Like a total outcast, constantly yelled at and pushed around. Not this time. I was absolutely determined to never repeat those mistakes. This time around, I am living for myself. Outside, dawn was finally breaking. I knew a massive, bright future was waiting for me. The train whistle blew loud and clear, and we finally started moving. My eyes sparked with pure hope and serious ambition. From now on, I will live my absolute best life. Waking up before dawn made me super drowsy. Drifting off, I suddenly realized my head was resting softly on someone's shoulder. I snapped awake instantly. Turning to look right beside me, I saw a completely familiar face. "Serena, what are you doing here?" Serena tilted her head, smiling brightly. "You are awake. I am heading to the capital too, just like you. What a wild coincidence. I also got into Crown University. I was absolutely blown away." Serena smiled and nodded. And just like that, the two of us traveled toward Crown University together. Meanwhile, back at my house, my parents woke up and headed to the kitchen to prep breakfast. The bowls and chopsticks were already placed on the table, but I was totally missing. Now pay attention, this is where it gets crazy. Mom goes to wake me, but the bedroom door is unlocked. She pushes it open only to realize all my daily things are gone. The bed is perfectly made, but I am completely nowhere to be found. Completely stunned, she spotted the letter left right on my desk. Frantic, she yelled out loud, "Mr. Smith, our boy is gone." Hearing the loud commotion, Dad rushed straight over. "What is wrong? Who is gone?" Running inside, he saw Mom quickly handing him a letter. "I just found this on his desk. You can read way better than me. Open it quickly." Dad stared at the envelope addressed to Mom and Dad. He quickly tore it open and pulled out the paper inside. He read aloud, "Dad, when you and Mom read this, I am already heading straight to the capital. There is something big I never told you to. I actually got accepted into Crown University, not Southwest University. Please forgive me for leaving without saying goodbye. Just do not worry too much. I will take care of myself. Once I finally settle into Crown University, I will call or write home immediately." Signed, Dylan. After reading, that pure absolute shock flashed across Dad's eyes. Our boy Dylan actually went straight to Crown University. He is on the train right now. Mom was completely stunned. Crown University, not Southwest. Even Stella thought he was going to Southwest. No way, I need to call and tell Stella right now. She started rushing out, but Dad quickly stopped her. Dylan already left for Crown. Telling Stella right now just won't solve anything. He promised he will contact us when he finally settles down. We can ask him everything then. It is never too late. Mom thought it over and had no choice but to agree. Meanwhile, at that exact moment inside the Southwest military base, Stella, the fierce head drill instructor for the elite squad, was busy training the new recruits. Suddenly, a strange tight pain gripped her right in the chest. You and I know that feeling, right? That sudden heavy ache of losing something big. My face just randomly flashed in her mind. She shook her head to calm down. "Dylan is heading to Southwest University soon. We will see each other soon. How could I lose him?" She dismissed any thought of me going to Crown University, finally feeling totally reassured. Stella quickly refocused and just continued training. After training ended, Stella headed straight into town for some shopping. She figured I would be arriving very soon and might need extra daily supplies. Later on, while she was finally walking back toward the busy family living quarters, carrying heavy bags of supplies, she bumped into another soldier's wife from across the hall. Noticing the massive pile, the woman playfully teased, "Captain Stella is buying so many household items. Your husband is totally coming to reunite with you soon, right?" Stella was stunned for a second, but she definitely didn't deny it. Honestly, pure unspeakable joy swelled inside her. Days passed and enrollment day for Southwest University finally arrived. Stella requested leave from her commander and drove straight up to the main university gates. She waited by the roadside, her eyes scanning constantly intensely, watching every single student walking past, terrified she might accidentally miss my silhouette. She spots a familiar shadow, but suddenly a voice calls from behind. "Stella, are you waiting here just for me? Trust me. You and I definitely want to see what happens next. Jump in with me." Stella turns around, finding Trent carrying luggage and smiling brightly. She glances around him, seeing absolutely nobody else, and asks where Dylan is. Trent's eyes flicker, totally faking a look of pure surprise. He says Dylan went to Crown U with Serena. Stella is left completely stunned. Her heart drops straight into an abyss. Her mind goes entirely blank. How is this even possible? His dream was always Southwest U. Why the sudden shift? Her thoughts suddenly halt as she remembers exactly what I told her before. I want to study linguistics at Crown U and become a teacher someday. It just suits my personality way better. Back then, she figured it was just a silly excuse because I was mad. Since she hung out with Trent, I intentionally said those cold words. But turns out those were my honest thoughts, and I actually went through with it. I hid it from her, hid it from everyone, and headed to Crown U. Stella simply cannot accept this reality. She wants to find me and demand answers. She runs straight toward her car, but Trent grabs her arm, saying he just arrived here. This place is strange to him, so he asks her to stay and help out. Stella decisively shakes his hand right off. Telling him to handle it himself because of an urgent matter, she jumps right into her car and aggressively speeds away. Trent watches her car leave absolute resentment written across his face. He secretly grits his teeth. Watch this move closely. Though visibly upset, a sneaky smirk quickly hits his face. He turns and leisurely strolls into the Southwest U campus, whatever. At least now it is only him and Stella left here. I am far away in the capital. From now on, absolutely nobody can ever get between them again. Back at the military family quarters, Stella frantically calls up the Phoenix Village. Waiting for mom or dad to answer her mind is an absolute chaotic mess. She has no idea what kind of answer she truly wants to hear, but she knows she will not be happy either way. What she desires most just seems totally impossible now. Amidst her rising panic, mom's gentle voice comes through the line. Is everything okay in the army? Stella nods and replies, she is totally fine, so don't worry. She asks if Dylan really went to Crown U. Mom confirms that kids sneaked out early the morning after she left, only leaving a letter behind for them. Mom's voice still carries a clear hint of annoyance. Stella's heart twists in pure pain. She quickly asks if he sent a letter back or called home after that. Since Stella is stuck on base, she cannot just leave whenever she wants to contact me. She can only rely on calls or letters, but letters need a specific address. Mom replies nothing yet. Dad and I are anxiously waiting for some news from him too. We really expect to hear something in the next few days. If he leaves a phone number or address, please tell me immediately, okay? Stella's voice drops low, carrying a completely desperate and pleading tone. Mom thinks it sounds a little strange, but doesn't overthink it, nodding and promising to let her know as soon as any news drops. Hanging up the phone, Stella feels absolutely exhausted. I know exactly what you are thinking right now. She honestly cannot understand why I was suddenly so determined for Crown U. Didn't I love her? Didn't I want forever? Serena's face suddenly flashes in her mind, making Stella's heart clench with pure jealousy. Could Dylan have genuinely fallen for Serena? No. Stella mutters that word, totally startling herself. Those deep feelings buried in her heart, ones she never even realized, are strongly awakening now. This leaves Stella completely flustered, unsure what to do. But she is slowly starting to understand her true feelings for me. Meanwhile, over at Crown University, I finally complete my enrollment procedures. I get assigned to dorm 502 in Building 5. Lugging my heavy suitcase inside, I see nobody else is here yet. It is a classic 6-person dorm featuring iron bunk beds and a big communal table right in the middle for studying and eating. I grab a bottom bunk near the door, then get straight to cleaning, unpacking, and making my bed. Takes an hour to finish. Looking at the fresh dorm room, a truly satisfied smile appears on my face. After neatly unpacking the suitcase, I figure I should call home and confirm I am totally safe. So I head out, searching for the post office to call. The call connects quickly, and I hear my mom's fierce scolding tone on the other end, calling me incredibly brave for sneaking off to Crown U alone. She yells so loud I have to pull the receiver far from my ear before daring to listen again. I remind her I already told everyone I wanted Crown U. Mom fires right back, saying I still shouldn't have just left without a word and sneaked away like that. I stay silent for a moment before answering softly, I am so sorry, Mom. It is my fault. Hearing my apology, Mom's anger fades. She carefully asks about my current living situation over at Crown U. Finally, trust me, you and I are just getting started here. Finally remembering, she asks for a contact number, but I reply that there are absolutely no private phones in the dorms right now. The lobby guard desk has the only phone. Just take down that number. I am in Building 5, Room 502. Stick with me here, dorm life is wild. That lobby phone rings constantly, so catching me on it isn't guaranteed. Plus, I have Serena's contact info. She handed over her personal number, so just grab a pen and write it. Once Mom finished scribbling those digits down, we caught up briefly before saying goodbye. Back inside my dorm room, a couple of my brand new roommates had already moved in. The second I walked in, the guy chilling on the adjacent bed immediately tossed out a friendly greeting. "Hey, you are my bunkmate, right? I am Harry." The other guys muttered their own unique names too. I smiled and nodded warmly, returning the greeting. "Hey, I am Dylan." The rest of the guys chimed in too, and soon everyone from room 502 was together. Harry was an incredibly energetic, fun guy born right here in the capital. He easily became the absolute center of attention, hyping up all the city's hidden gems. Seriously, there are so many awesome spots. When we get free time, I will give you the grand tour. Maybe during the National Day break. Since the other guys lived relatively close to campus, they collectively shook their heads. Honestly, for the National Day holiday, we are probably just going to visit our families. Eventually, Harry just looked at me. "You are probably heading back home too, right?" I paused, remembering how I had quietly packed up and left without telling Stella anything. She was absolutely going to track me down and demand some serious answers. Now pay attention here. If I headed back home for that holiday, facing her again was basically a guaranteed disaster. And honestly, seeing her was the absolute last thing I wanted. So I shook my head. "Nope, not going home for the holiday. You can show me around town." Harry let out a massive laugh and slapped my shoulder. "It is a deal. A massive military parade is happening this year. We will go check it out." I just nodded. Afterward, the guys in our room started settling into campus life at Crown U. By tradition, every single freshman had to join the big welcome party. This year, the rules focused on dorm units. Every single room needed to prepare a performance. With Harry temporarily gone, the rest of us huddled up to brainstorm some ideas. I thought it over then, straight up asked if anyone had any hidden stage talents. I actually spent some time in a performing arts club, so I know a couple of solid dance moves. Yeah, me too. Shockingly, almost every single guy in the room knew how to dance. I was the only clueless one. That made things intensely awkward for me. Suddenly, Harry sprinted inside, completely out of breath. "I know exactly what our room will do. Let us do a social dance with a girls' dorm. That will definitely stand out." Nobody complained since they all had basic rhythm, and social dancing was super popular right now. But Harry immediately caught my obvious, lingering hesitation. He hyped me up. "No worries if you cannot dance yet, I will personally teach you." Eventually, I just agreed. I came to Crown U to level up and build an amazing future. So honestly, learning to dance was not a terrible starting point. Let us pause here. A massive question suddenly just popped right into my head. I asked Harry, "Which girl's dorm are you actually planning to partner with?" Harry literally slapped his own forehead. "Oh man, I totally forgot. If you guys are completely free right now, let us go find them." Everyone agreed. Right as we stepped toward the dorm door, a loud voice echoed from down the hallway. "Dylan, from room 502, somebody is looking for you down at the lobby. You have got a phone call waiting." I totally froze, wondering who the heck was calling. Did I not just call my parents 2 days ago? Was it a sudden family emergency? Pure anxiety instantly gripped my chest. I turned to Harry, panic rising. "I have to hit the lobby first. I will catch up later." Harry nodded. "Sure, we will probably be in the practice room or the cafeteria." "Understood," I replied before breaking into a sprint toward the lobby. I grabbed that heavy receiver off the desk and pressed it to my ear. "Hello, Mom. Dad, did something bad happen at home?" But the voice that answered was familiar and the absolute last one I expected. I completely froze. There was absolutely no way Stella had tracked down my contact info this fast. Heavy silence hung before I finally forced myself to speak. "Hello, why exactly are you calling me?" On the line, hearing my voice made Stella's frantic anxiety instantly disappear. But then, remembering my sudden disappearance, all her bitter annoyance flared right back up to the surface. Her tone lost its cool composure. "Dylan, do you seriously have absolutely nothing to explain to me?" A painfully long silence stretched across the line. That quiet made Stella feel incredibly tense and uneasy. Right as she opened her mouth to speak again, my calm voice cut through. "Everything that needed to be said, I have already told you. I am fully settled at Crown U. You do not need to stress over me anymore. From now on, just focus on your life with Trent." Every word I dropped made Stella's heart ache. "So you did all of this just because of him? And trust me, you and I know why I coldly cut her off. None of that matters anymore. You and I are jumping straight into the drama." He tells his sister he finally found his true purpose, so she needs to back off completely. Hearing those absolutely cold words, Della felt a massive wave of pain hit her. She could feel the pure ice in his voice through the phone, but surprisingly, she suddenly realized she genuinely cared for him. but she had absolutely zero clue how to actually show it. Hearing her total silence, he decided to completely stop dragging out their painful past. He spoke up first, saying he was busy and had to go. Then, without even waiting for a reaction, he just decisively hung up. He stood there a second, cooling down his chaotic emotions before turning around and leaving the lobby to head right where Harry told him. He tracked them down at the gym. When he walked over, they were already hanging out with some girls kicking off their very first practice. Catching sight of him, Harry enthusiastically waved him over. He walked up quickly, personally introducing himself to all the girls. Harry grinned and said he knew Dylan was terrible at this, so he specifically saved him the absolute best dance partner. Harry excitedly looked around the room, then pointed straight at a girl standing nearby. He quickly pointed out that she was walking over right now. Dylan followed his gaze and clearly spotted a stunning girl in a white dress with a high ponytail strolling right toward them. He recognized her instantly. It was Serena. She smiled and warmly greeted him. Serena honestly looked just as totally surprised as Dylan did. A completely random pairing, yet they still bumped into each other. They really did have some wild fate connecting them. "Watch closely. This is great." Harry kept glancing between them, asking if they actually knew each other. Dylan just smiled, explaining they were from the exact same city. Harry nodded happily. Since they already knew each other, practicing together definitely wouldn't be awkward at all. He then turned to Serena, completely trusting Dylan in her hands. Serena just gave a confident nod, telling him not to worry. As Harry walked off to practice completely on his own, Dylan felt pretty shy. He honestly confessed to Serena that he had absolutely zero clue how to actually dance. Serena quickly reassured him, telling him not to stress and just let her guide the way. He nodded happily. She gently grabbed his hand, teaching him the absolute basics. She told him to place his hand right over hers like this. Following her sweet rhythm, Serena held his hand and smoothly led him forward and backward. Next, she told him to raise his arm high while she totally used that momentum to spin beautifully multiple times. But suddenly his feet got entirely tangled up, causing him to completely lose control of his balance. Falling backward, he let out a loud, shocked yelp, convinced he would smash straight into the floor, shutting his eyes in pure fear. But after waiting a tense moment, the pain never hit. "You saw that coming, right?" Serena's voice echoed right by his ear, playfully asking if he planned to be held forever. He snapped his eyes open, realizing Serena was actually holding him super tightly with both hands, saving him from falling hard. Staring right into her bright, smiling eyes, his ears instantly burned red from total embarrassment. He quickly stood up, gently pushing away a bit. He thanked her. Serena casually pulled back, saying it was absolutely nothing before continuing. He nodded. He was definitely much more careful this time. Luckily, he didn't trip again, breathing a huge sigh of relief. Catching his totally stiff expression, Serena genuinely couldn't help laughing and teasing him. She told him not to be so tense, since dancing should be incredibly fun and super relaxing. He nodded, promising he would really try. Right then, Harry walked over to check their current progress. Seeing Dylan looking super awkward and silent, Serena quickly jumped in, promising Harry that they definitely wouldn't slow down the group's overall practice speed. Harry admitted he was a bit worried, but encouragingly told Dylan not to stress himself out too much over the dance. Dylan flashed a wry smile, saying he totally understood. Deciding that was enough practice today, they headed to eat. Harry gathered the entire group to hit the cafeteria together. While they were eating, Harry seemed to suddenly remember something completely random, asking out of the blue if Dylan's family had called him earlier. His chopsticks paused for a brief second. "Yeah," his sister called. Harry, being the absolute gossip he naturally was, eagerly bombarded him with non-stop questions about his sister's exact age. Dylan felt instantly exhausted. He really didn't want to keep talking about Stella at all. Serena, sitting right across from him, clearly noticed his visible discomfort and quickly intervened loudly, reminding the guys the welcome party was just days away. Everyone needed to practice harder. She told Dylan to find her any time for extra practice in building 1 room 405. Seeing Serena step in perfectly, Harry finally stopped drilling him about Stella. Dylan secretly breathed a massive sigh of relief and immediately agreed. He asked if she could guide him more after dinner. Serena looked at him and gave a very slight sweet nod. She agreed. As everyone else scattered away, he eagerly followed Serena right back to the gym to continue learning the dance. Time absolutely flew by, and soon it was the big freshman welcome party. Standing right before the stage, he suddenly felt incredibly, intensely nervous. "Trust me, keep watching." Serena stood close, whispering not to be scared. "Stick with me here." If you are panicking, don't look at the crowd. Just pretend we are practicing. I took a massive breath to calm down. The music hit and I locked right onto Serena's rhythm. Surprisingly, our moves flowed together completely and perfectly in sync. But right as I finally relaxed my eyes, accidentally drifted over to the crowd. Bam! Instant panic mode looking at all those people. My feet tangled up and I awkwardly stepped right on Serena's toes. Serena noticed instantly. Moving fast, she yanked me close, pulling my hand to her waist while wrapping her arm right around my neck. She expertly covered my mistake and whispered, "Keep on moving. We are almost finished." We were standing so close I could feel her breath. My heart was absolutely hammering out of my chest. I was blushing like crazy. We stayed locked together until the crowd erupted in applause, finally stepping off the stage as one. Even backstage, my face was still burning up completely red. Harry gave me this totally suspicious look. "Dylan, why are you so flushed? Don't tell me you panicked because Serena got super close." I felt totally embarrassed, just staring at the floor in silence. Beside me, Serena just flashed a very knowing, mysterious smile. The welcome party was an absolute smash hit. Thanks to all that dancing, our dorm and Serena's crew became super close friends. But right after that, everyone got pulled into hardcore studying. Outside of class, I basically lived inside the campus library. And of course, I kept constantly running into Serena while studying there. Watch closely. This is where drama starts. We grew super close, and soon enough, crazy rumors spread that we were secretly dating. Harry practically sprinted over, begging to know. "Dylan, are you really dating the prettiest girl on campus?" I froze in pure shock, wildly shaking my head. "No way, nothing like that. We just study at the library. Stop the gossip." But if Harry believed it, the rest of the school was definitely thinking the worst. The next morning, I totally avoided Serena at the library. I kept my distance, stopped sitting nearby, and ignored her excited chatting during all our study breaks. She was an aerospace major and sharp. She instantly noticed me acting weird and guessed the rumors were to blame. Looking right at me, she spoke softly. "You really should not care what others think. Even if we were dating, it is none of their business." She was right, but my dark past still haunted me. In my previous life, vicious gossip completely destroyed everything I had ever worked for. I absolutely refused to get sucked back into that awful nightmare. I told her I should study in my room from now on. Serena froze, furrowing her brows, about to argue, but then just stopped. "You feel that, right?" She saw my true panic. After that, we basically stopped talking. Eventually, the wild gossip faded. I finally breathed a huge sigh of relief and threw myself entirely back into studying. Time flew by fast, and the big National Day holiday approached. Most guys went home. Only Harry and I stayed behind, and he brought up the massive city parade. "Let's go watch." This event was super rare. The last big celebration like this happened 5 years ago. I had heard legendary stories about it, but had never actually seen it myself. Being in the capital, I had to go. We made a quick plan, but walking out the gates, we bumped right into Serena again. Looking completely surprised, she asked, "You guys stayed behind. Where are you heading?" "Yeah," I replied softly. Harry immediately jumped in. "We are heading downtown for the massive parade." "Wow, me too. Let's go together." She looked at me with hopeful eyes, clearly terrified I might reject her again. I nodded gently. We hopped into her white car, but arriving downtown, the square was already totally packed with massive crowds. Harry and I exchanged panicked looks, wondering how we would ever squeeze through this insane crowd. "Follow me. We won't see anything here." Serena took charge, leading us through the mob to another zone. Finding ourselves in the absolute front row with a flawless view of the entire event, I was standing there in complete and utter shock. Staring at Serena, those old school rumors suddenly clicked in my head. Her grandfather was a legendary military VIP. No wonder she easily scored us the best spot in town. Harry's jaw literally hit the floor. "Serena, who are you? How did you get this amazing spot?" She just smiled humbly. "It is nothing. Look, guys, the show is starting. So what do we make of this?" Harry was totally starstruck now. I was slightly worried, but the epic show was beginning. Stick with me for this completely insane parade. Following a booming command across Tiananmen Square, perfectly synced and incredibly epic marching footsteps echoed loudly. Pristine white Air Force, deep blue Navy, and vibrant green Army uniforms. Row after row glided flawlessly right past our amazed eyes. Seeing their proud faces and towering morale, I got completely swept up, feeling an absolute rush of overwhelming emotion. As another Green Army squad marched fiercely toward us, I narrowed my focused gaze. Suddenly, my eyes locked onto the leading group. I froze completely. I stared wide-eyed at that super familiar silhouette marching right past me. It was Stella. She actually came to the Capitol for this massive military parade. Instantly, my mind spun into pure chaos. My vision blurred. "Dylan, are you listening?" Feeling a slight shove, I snapped back to reality. "What is on your mind? I am thirsty. I am grabbing water." I nodded back. Looking up, I caught Serena giving me a look. Serena totally spotted Stella, too. She instantly knew something was super weird with my expression. You and I can tell this sibling dynamic is wild. Serena definitely sensed something off, staying completely quiet. After all, it was personal business. But deep down, she felt super anxious. After finishing the parade, we three headed back to campus. Harry and I hopped out saying goodbye as I watched her drive away. Just as I reached the door, I suddenly heard Harry shouting out right beside my ear. "Dylan, I decided to go after Serena right now." Hearing that, I almost tripped over my feet. I stared at Harry, totally shocked, taking forever to speak. "What did you just say, Dylan?" "I really like Serena. I want to write her a love letter. You must help me. You are our literature department superstar. Please help me write an epic love poem for Serena right now. Come on." Harry aggressively dragged me inside. Before I could even complain, I was shoved right into my desk chair. He slapped a pen into my hand, tossing blank paper down. I finally snapped back to reality. I dropped the pen instantly. "I cannot do this. Stop asking." Seeing my serious face, Harry finally took a slow step back. "Fine, I will write it, but check it later, okay?" I reluctantly nodded. Right then, a sudden knock. Someone knocked on our dorm door. I jumped up to open it, spotting a random guy from the next room. "You are Dylan, right? Someone is waiting at the school gate. You should look." I froze completely. I knew nobody in this huge Capitol. Suddenly, a familiar military uniform flashed vividly in my mind. Now watch closely here. Did she really track me down this fast? Deep breath. I had to confront this eventually. Clearing things up immediately was best. Once spoken, we could finally go our separate ways peacefully. After telling Harry, I walked toward the gate. Stella spotted me instantly. She saw my crisp white shirt looking energetic. My entire body practically radiated fresh, youthful energy. I was no longer that little village boy chasing behind her. I had evolved. Stella felt her eyes flicker slightly. She felt an overwhelming chest tightness. I faced the exhausted woman, smiling faintly. "Hello, Stella." She opened her mouth slowly. "I need to talk. Let us find a seat." I nodded, leading her toward a quiet campus park. We sat on a cold stone bench, both staying completely silent for a while. Stella thought back. Since hanging up on him, her heart felt fiercely stabbed by a million sharp needles. That heavy pain totally consumed her mind, leaving her clueless. She came here desperately but lacked the right words completely. Later, Southwest University hosted epic military training for new freshmen. She was named Chief Commander. Meanwhile, Trent annoyingly hovered around constantly. Back in their old village, she suspected nothing. She had willingly accepted that set-up blind date anyway. But when Trent acted overly entitled, playing the absolute perfect fiancé, she felt ridiculously uncomfortable for once. For the very first time, escaping this forced marriage crossed her mind. She started purposely avoiding Trent completely. Noticing this, he glared at her with pure frustration. "Stella, you feel so incredibly distant. Are we not engaged?" Stella stayed completely silent before finally saying, "Trent, we must reconsider this marriage." Why Trent aggressively yelled, demanding answers. "I know. Sorry, but my choice stands. Trust me, you and I already know exactly who is truly taking over her guarded heart. Let's jump into this drama." Trent suddenly asked. "Is it because of Dylan?" Stella stayed silent. "He is your brother. You two are impossible. Plus, he already left for the capital. Do you really think he will return?" Hearing his tone, Stella sensed he was hiding something. "Are you keeping secrets? Do you know why he suddenly went to Crown University?" "Of course I know. You two could never be together anyway, so I just helped you out." Stella finally understood my sudden cold distance from her. It was entirely Trent's doing. The glare she shot at him was absolutely bone-chillingly cold. "What did you do? I just told him exactly what you said." Hearing the harsh truth was enough to make him completely give up. "Since you wanted to date me, he figured we were on the same side." Stella took a long, incredibly deep breath. So that was the truth. The very next day after my confession, I apologized. I told her not to worry, then decisively chose to enroll at Crown University. I completely misunderstood her and gave up on this romance. Now that she understood her own heart, maybe it was not too late. Everything before Dylan was my fault. Now I finally know my true feelings. I actually like you too. But she could not finish. I suddenly stood right up. Now watch closely. My eyes held pure disbelief and clear mockery. Stella's next words instantly got stuck right inside her throat. She could not make another sound. It took quite a while for Stella to speak. Everything I say is from the bottom of my heart. I thought it through. As long as we can be together. I took a deep breath to firmly control my emotions. It took a moment to suppress my chaotic feelings. I bluntly cut her off. I have already moved on. From now on, you are just my sister. And did you forget that you and Trent are getting married at the end of the year? Stella frantically explained. I made things perfectly clear to him. I will explain everything to our parents too. You do not need to carry any heavy burdens. Seeing Stella make these desperate promises for the first time, I seriously started doubting my own judge of character. Stella always acted without considering the consequences. It really seemed like she only ever cared about herself. Thinking I disliked it, she brutally rejected me back then, totally refusing to save my dignity. She even shamelessly dated Trent right in front of my face. Now that I completely moved on, she suddenly claims she likes me, dumping Trent without a single moment of hesitation. It mirrored exactly how she abandoned me for Trent before. In that split second, my heart just turned incredibly cold. I stared at Stella, enunciating every single word clearly. Let me repeat this one last time. Right now, I have no feelings for you besides basic sisterly affection. As for you and Trent, I really do not care. I have things to do. I am leaving. Honestly, I did not want to argue with Stella anymore. I simply turned and walked away. I barely took one step before Stella tightly grabbed me. I know you are only saying that because you are angry. I admit I deeply wronged you before. From now on, I will make it up to you double. I truly could not help but roll my eyes. You and I both know she was not listening. I refused to speak another word. I brushed her hand off and kept walking forward. But in Stella's delusional mind, she believed I was just angry. She assumed I was merely throwing a tantrum. She smiled indulgently and followed right behind my footsteps. Actually, I applied to train at the Capital Military Region for half a year. Whenever I have free time, I will come visit you. We can see each other often. Now I felt absolutely incredibly annoyed. I honestly could not comprehend Stella's mindset. When I liked her, she found 1,000 ways to brutally reject me. Now that I completely let go and refused to look back, she desperately chased me. This bizarre, sudden flip just left me utterly exhausted, completely unsure how to handle it. Reaching the Crown U gates, I firmly told Stella, you should head back now. I must go inside. Without even waiting for her reaction, I turned and walked onto the campus. But after barely taking 3 steps, a massive force violently yanked my shoulder. My patience was wearing extremely thin. Glancing back, I saw Trent's furious face looming behind me. I was genuinely startled. Before I could even speak, Trent launched a brutal punch straight into my jaw. Bam! Dylan, you absolute piece of garbage. Look at the professors here at Crown. Everyone see how despicable you are, endlessly stalking another man's fiancée. Trent purposely screamed that at the absolute top of his lungs. Every student and professor nearby heard him perfectly clearly. Everyone immediately stopped dead and stared right at us. My eyes instantly flared red. The suffocating trauma of being completely falsely accused in my previous life hit me hard again. I desperately forced myself to calm down. Trent, stop spouting malicious lies. I will report you to the school administration for this insane slander. Do not push it until you get yourself permanently expelled. Trent suddenly dropped his arrogant smirk and began wailing incredibly pathetically. It is obvious you seduced my fiancé, and now you play the helpless victim, threatening me to stay quiet. Stella frantically rushed over to stop him. And that is where we leave it. If glares could destroy, Trent would be gone. Right now, she finally deeply regretted her foolish past blindness. Come along with me for this wild drama. Why did she ever think he was good? Stella stepped up, whispering for me to just leave. I shook my head no. If I ran away right now, this terrible fake rumor would follow me around forever. I could never escape it. Seeing Stella defend me like that made Trent lose his mind with pure, completely unhinged jealousy. He screamed about being her fiancé. The entire surrounding crowd started whispering and pointing right at me and Stella. My face went totally pale with absolute rage. I could not let Trent keep spouting nonsense after fighting so hard for this new life. I absolutely refused to let him wreck things again. But right before I could speak up, a familiar voice echoed softly beside my ear, telling them to look closely because I was her younger brother, not some rival. I looked over. Serena was walking right up to us. She stood next to me, surprised to see Stella there. Then she noticed the painful red mark on my cheek. Touching it gently, pure, blazing fire instantly sparked inside of her beautiful, sharp eyes. Demanding to know who hit me, she asked why I did not fight back. She reached out, completely heartbroken, to touch my bruised face. Stella frowned at this, instinctively reaching her hand out to stop Serena. Watch closely here, because Serena leaned right into Stella's ear, whispering for her to get Trent out immediately unless she wanted me expelled. Stella stood there completely shocked. After checking on me, she quickly dragged the very confused Trent into her Jeep and sped off. With them gone, Serena loudly told the crowd to scatter. She claimed the guy was my sister's fiancé, saying he had serious mental issues. Because I was so close to my sister, Trent constantly viewed me as his imaginary romantic rival instead. After handling that drama, she pulled me deep into the campus. My mind was blank. A sharp sting on my cheek finally snapped me back to reality, making me process what just happened. I looked at the amazing girl beside me and sincerely thanked her for stepping in and helping me out. Asking if her car had medicine, she noted my facial injury needed to be treated very quickly. Serena kept her brows tightly furrowed. I simply nodded. She stayed quiet, and we silently walked together toward dorm building 5. I noticed she seemed pretty angry. I timidly asked if she was mad. She stared with immense frustration, asking if I was just a punching bag for people. She scolded me for never fighting back. Then she absolutely roasted my judge of character regarding my gentle sister. She pointed out that standing right next to me, Stella completely failed to protect me from harm. It was completely pathetic and useless. The more Serena spoke about the incident, the angrier she actually got. Her fierce eyes looked like blazing fire. I was startled, openly wondering exactly how she knew about my situation with Stella. I knew Serena understood my question. Her knowing this secret was completely blowing my mind right now. She annoyedly replied that back in Phoenix Valley, she saw my special treatment toward her. I said that was history. From now on, she is strictly my sister. I firmly reaffirmed my stance. Serena froze. She stared intensely, making me feel incredibly nervous inside. But just before I could speak up again, Serena suddenly stepped a bit closer. You feel that tension, right? With hopeful expectation, she actually asked if I wanted to try getting to know her. I just stood there frozen. We stared deeply into each other's eyes, completely lost in the moment, until a trembling voice suddenly interrupted our little romantic bubble. What exactly are you doing? Harry had been inside writing his love letter when a roommate suddenly mentioned I was in deep trouble outside. He immediately threw his pen down and sprinted out to help. But reaching the lobby, he found me and Serena standing way too close, gazing romantically into each other's eyes, just like a couple deeply in love. His heart completely shattered into pieces. His sudden loud shout ruined our electric atmosphere entirely. Snapping back to reality, I quickly backed away and looked at Harry. Remembering his earlier confession, I hurriedly tried to explain that things were not what he thought at all. But before I could finish, Serena sharply cut me off, asking why I even needed to explain. Harry looked pale as a ghost. He stepped up, glaring intently at Serena, boldly declaring that he liked her and really wanted to date her. Serena's intense glare felt like sharp needles piercing right through me, making me way too terrified to even look up at her. While I awkwardly searched for a quick excuse to slip away, another male student suddenly walked up, saying the professor wanted to see me in the office immediately. I froze up, then instantly understood why. It was absolutely because of that huge commotion at the front gate. Even though Serena tactfully killed the rumor, this top university administration still needed to officially verify the truth. I nodded, saying I would go right now. Serena volunteered. Serena spoke up instantly. Harry, watching from the sidelines with heavy, sad eyes, also opened his mouth and insisted on going too. So our awkward trio headed out to the administration office. I went inside alone, leaving Serena and Harry waiting out in the hallway. That is where we leave it. Harry directly asks Serena if she likes Dylan. Stick with me here, the drama is really heating up. Serena just looked at him silently. Harry scoffed, guessing it was a yes, but pointing out Dylan's obvious lack of romantic feelings. Harry hit her with another brutal blow. Serena simply frowned, shooting back that a lack of feelings right now definitely didn't mean never. She fully believed in herself. Hearing that Harry fell completely silent, his face looking complicated, Dylan opened the door and stepped out. Noticing the heavy, tense atmosphere, he instantly asked what was actually wrong. They both awkwardly shouted nothing in unison. Dylan let out a huge sigh of relief, double-checking if everything was okay. Serena asked him, Smiling warmly, he explained the professor simply wanted to ask about the recent situation. He had explained everything clearly thought for a second and confidently added he was writing a massive complaint letter to Southwest University. Trent wasn't getting away with his nasty slander. Serena immediately backed up his solid plan. Then Dylan glanced at Harry, who was standing beside him, totally lost in deep thought. He told him to snap out of it, and they finally left. Back at the dorm, Harry still had a totally dazed expression. Dylan assumed he was just stressing out over that awkward moment with Serena earlier. He quickly tried explaining that the whole earlier situation with Serena really wasn't like that, but Harry completely cut him off, apologizing deeply for straight-up lying to his face. He confessed he was confused, and the real reason he claimed to pursue Serena wasn't romantic feelings. It was actually purely because of her powerful family background. Harry looked right at him, acting flustered and uneasy. Dylan gently pulled up a chair to sit right next to his highly anxious friend. Now pay attention, here comes the insane truth. Harry slowly revealed his father was actually a massive general in the capital military region. Since he was super young, his strict father had heavily pressured him. His family demanded he only marry high-ranking daughters. Even getting into Crown University took an absolute massive fight just to earn a tiny scrap of real freedom. So when he suddenly discovered Serena's identical family background, he instantly claimed he wanted to pursue her romantically. Dylan completely never expected the cheerful, carefree Harry to actually carry so many incredibly heavy burdens. Dylan firmly told him it was a brand new era now where everyone absolutely had the complete right to choose their own marriage partners. He highly encouraged negotiating with his family. His life fully belonged to him alone, so he just needed to be the master of it. He warned against letting anyone dictate his path. It was a tough, harsh lesson learned from his own past life, realized just very recently. Harry looked at him and suddenly smiled, saying that was exactly what Serena had told him earlier. Dylan was left feeling completely stunned. He was totally about to ask how, but the words completely jammed in his throat. Harry suddenly reached over and hugged him super tight. His voice choked up a little, thanking Dylan for helping him figure things out. Dylan warmly reached out and patted his friend's back. A brief moment later, he regained his total composure and pulled back. Despite his slightly red eyes, a bright, genuine smile returned to his face. Dylan breathed a sigh of pure relief when Harry suddenly turned and asked if he really didn't like Serena at all. I know what you are thinking. From its nope, he just wanted to focus entirely on his studies. He had loved Stella for years, ending completely terribly. Right now, romantic feelings just genuinely weren't an important priority to his new life anymore. He simply wanted to build up his vast knowledge and carve out an incredibly bright future. During the final days of the big National Day holiday, Harry dragged him around the massive capital. Serena happily tagged along for most of it. Thankfully, Stella and that annoying Trent didn't appear once during this time. He totally ignored how Stella handled Trent, completely irrelevant now. Just a few days after the fun holiday, he went straight back to furiously burying himself inside the library every single day. This time, he kept Serena's company without desperately avoiding her anymore. Denying that whole dramatic school gate incident would just instantly spark way more annoying rumors and pointless gossip all over again. Still, he seriously needed to make things crystal clear. Catching a perfectly quiet moment, he gently told Serena their weird situation was causing massive misunderstandings for everyone. Hoping it wasn't annoying, he frowned deeply. He still felt entirely clueless on handling this. Everything seemed completely stuck. He couldn't find a perfect solution at all. Watching his conflicted panic, Serena softly sighed. That day, she bravely spoke out. She admitted she feared annoying him, but boldly asked if he could just give her a chance to stand right by his side. He felt genuinely happy seeing pure affection shining in her eyes. That raw sincerity. Though right now he probably couldn't completely return it. But he thanked her anyway. She understood, promising to keep trying firmly, believing he'd change his mind eventually. Serena affirmed confidently. Not knowing what else to say, he just stayed quietly silent. With everything out in the open, hanging out together felt so much more relaxed and comfortable. Time absolutely flew during their intense studies. Half a month later, while heading to the library with a book, a frantic dorm mate sprinted up saying he just answered a massive call down at the lobby. Trust me, you'll want to see this. A uniformed military woman needed him. Nodding his thanks, he immediately rushed for the gate. Stick with me. We are diving into a huge twist. I fully expected Stella bringing news about Trent, but at the gate, no Stella. A strange guard waited. I hesitated, then confidently approached. I am Dylan. You need me. The guard nodded. Captain Stella ordered me to bring you. I narrowed my eyes suspiciously. Why didn't she come herself? She is currently hospitalized. I stood there totally shocked. What exactly happened? Why the hospital? Let Stella explain everything directly. Are you free right now? I quickly thought. My afternoon was completely clear of classes. I will go with you. I hopped into the parked Jeep, speeding straight toward the local city hospital. 40 minutes later, I pushed the room door open. There was Stella resting quietly on the bed with her eyes fully closed. Hearing my footsteps, she opened her eyes. Seeing me there, a massive spark of pure joy appeared. She quickly tried sitting up. That action aggravated her back injury, making her brows furrow in severe pain. I instantly stepped forward, supporting her arm. Glancing closely at her back, the marks looked exactly like a brutal lashing. Stella gripped my hand tightly, refusing to let go. Nobody will ever stop us from being together anymore. Give me another chance. I froze. Before I could reply, Stella kept going. I ended the engagement with Trent. I told our parents everything. They won't oppose us. My eyes widened in pure shock. It took forever to stammer. You told our parents. Stella gripped my hand harder. Please hold my hand. I know you still resent me for rejecting you earlier. So I bravely faced all the consequences myself. Watch closely now. I finally asked. Wait, so you actually got punished for this? I whispered softly, my head spinning with pure confusion. First, she brutally rejected me, insisting we could only ever just be siblings forever. Yet now she boldly confessed to our parents, but honestly, I was completely over it. I didn't need her love anymore, so I felt absolutely zero gratitude for her huge, dramatic sacrifice. I only felt confused, unsure how to react. Furthermore, profound sadness quickly surged from deep within my heart. In my previous timeline, I acted exactly like Stella. I fought fiercely for us, but they literally kicked me out, completely ruining my entire life back then. But when Stella did the exact same thing, they casually forgave her and even offered their blessing. Nobody even asked my opinion. Right now, I only felt a bone-chilling wave of coldness. Stella watched my total silence. The bright joy in her eyes quickly faded into pure anxiety. She stared, unblinking. Are you not happy? Before she could ramble, I instantly cut her off, hiding my true emotions. Sounding totally indifferent, I asked, what exactly did you tell them? They didn't even bother calling me once. Stella then revealed the entire crazy story. Here is where it gets crazy. Stella dragged Trent from Crown University back to Southwest University exactly when my official complaint letter finally arrived. Following an intense investigation, Trent got permanently expelled and shipped straight back to labor in Phoenix Village. His furious parents even stormed the Smith household, causing absolute chaos. Della arrived just in time, exposing every lie. Trent totally broke down right there. He pointed at Stella, screaming, "You dare claim you aren't selfish. All your noble actions are just a fake cover-up. You and Dylan, shut up. Who is to blame for this situation? You know best." Stella furiously cut him off, snapping back. Whatever happens between me and Dylan is Smith family business. This doesn't concern you, plus, if you speak, I am not afraid to admit it. I will expose what happened between you and that senior classmate. Seeing her warning glare, Trent immediately panicked. He never expected her to know at Southwest University a senior girl truly liked him. Since Stella ignored his desperate messages for weeks, he secretly ran to that exact senior for emotional comfort. She even funded his train ticket to the capital. Ultimately, a terrified Trent didn't dare say more. Shortly after, he was officially banished to labor camp in Phoenix Village. After handling her grandmother's affairs and Trent's chaotic mess, Stella bravely marched home and laid everything out for her shocked parents. She knelt straight down. My dad jumped. "Stella, what's going on? I must confess something. It might be hard to accept, but it's truth." They looked suspicious. "Speak." "Sorry I betrayed you. My feelings for Dylan are romantic. I love him. That hit like a bomb. You and I didn't expect this." The truth exploded. Stella was whipped and forced to kneel all day. "All right, stick with me here." His parents finally gave up, just telling her to stand right up. Stella knew the truth. While still annoyed, they were totally done fighting this battle. Hearing her whole side left him feeling completely numb. Even with all those massive sacrifices she made, our main character just refused to look back. He stared right into her eyes. "Let me tell you a story." Pure confusion flashed across Stella's face, quickly swallowed up by intense, heavy anxiety. She actually believed that ditching Trent and beating their parents' strict rules would magically erase his trauma, making him happily run right back into her open arms. However, from beginning to end, his expression stayed completely cold. Seeing zero smiles made Stella's chest painfully tighten, her fear spiraling out of control with every single breath. Ignoring her obvious panic, he just continued his dramatic monologue. He revealed everything from his past life, from his hopeful confession to fading away completely alone in a foreign land. Finishing up, he closed his eyes, fighting back those incredibly intense emotions. Staring deep at Stella, his gaze remained perfectly calm and light. "Stella, I am so sorry. I truly let you go. From here on out, we are strictly siblings." Her heart instantly felt totally crushed by a giant sledgehammer leaving behind a massive hole. Her lips actually trembled. "Dylan, I was completely foolish before. I misunderstood my own feelings. I will change. Can we please start over?" His mood was a wild mix of sadness and mockery. "If you actually said these words during my past life, would I have ended up in such total misery? Back then in my past life, you never even loved me. Now pay attention here. You suddenly want me? Is that just human nature? People always crave the exact things they know they absolutely cannot ever have. But if that is truly the case, it is absolutely not worth it for my own sake. Regarding my past life, I am never looking back. I honestly do not care anymore. Since I finally decided to move forward, getting tied down by the past is just totally pointless." Clearing his racing thoughts, he told Stella to just rest up. Promising to visit later, he turned away, but she desperately grabbed his hand tight. "Dylan, just because of some silly story, you can easily abandon me." He stopped dead. His voice carried genuine sorrow. "But what if I told you it was never a story, but my own incredibly tragic, painful experience?" Right after that, he brushed her hand away, walking out of that hospital room without looking back. Stella stared at him, leaving her pure heartache utterly indescribable. Everything was supposedly settled now, so why did she feel like she was completely losing him? She absolutely refused to give up. She loved him way too much. How could she let go this easily? Time to bury that story, Stella. While her heart overflowed with pure anxiety, she definitely refused to believe in ghosts. Right now, her absolute top priority was healing her deep wounds. His heart was actually super soft. If she stayed completely devoted to him, she figured she could definitely force him to change his mind. Leaving the hospital, he avoided heading straight back to school. Instead, he found a public payphone to quickly call his home. Surprisingly, his dad answered. Both ends of the phone line stayed completely silent for a while. Our guy spoke first. "Dad, are you and Mom doing okay?" A tense moment passed before his dad's hoarse voice replied. "Your mom is slightly tired, but it is nothing serious. Do not worry too much." His chest instantly ached hard. He totally understood everything. How could his parents ever easily accept something this dramatic? He just could not understand why they compromised so insanely fast this time. Regardless, he needed to make his own feelings crystal clear. "Dad, I am truly sorry about everything involving me." And before he could finish, his dad quickly interrupted. "Your mom and I are done interfering. From now on, even if you both never visit home again, it is fine." We both felt that heavy sigh, right? Hearing his dad's totally exhausted voice, he just had to ask, "Dad, why did you stop fighting us on this?" His dad stayed silent for a long minute before finally answering. "That day was my first time seeing Stella acting so incredibly determined. That intense look reminded me of her late father. I actually felt pretty ashamed. So that was the reason. Dad, please listen carefully. Like I said before, from now on, I am only treating her as my older sister. That is the absolute truth. That is honestly the biggest reason I was so determined to attend Crown University." Once he finished speaking, the phone line went terrifyingly, suffocatingly silent. "Tell me clearly, what exactly are you and Stella planning?" His dad's tone instantly sharpened. "I made things crystal clear to her already. We are strictly family forever. I made my absolute choice and nothing will change it. Dad, you and Mom just focus on taking care of yourselves. This is completely private between us. We can definitely handle things ourselves. I cannot visit for National Day, but I promise we will all return for the Lunar New Year." Finally, his dad did not say another single word. He quietly replied and hung up the phone. Walking away, he thought about Stella again, truly hoping she wouldn't try pulling any crazy stunts. Regardless, he definitely refused to let his parents worry about him anymore. By the time he reached campus, darkness was already falling fast. Strolling past the main dorm lobby, he spotted Serena frantically pacing back and forth, looking incredibly anxious. He approached, but she frantically snapped, "Where have you been? And that is it, trust me. You will want to see what happens next." Let's dive into this. Serena was actually worried sick all afternoon. I quickly apologized, explaining I had an unexpected hospital emergency. I surrendered and explained everything. The hospital. What happened? Are you okay? Serena frantically checked me over from head to toe. I simply shook my head. No, it is my sister. Serena froze up immediately. She has not left yet. Still in the capital. She applied for the local military zone. She will probably stick around for about half a year. Hearing that, Serena looked completely miserable. She went totally quiet, refusing to say a single thing. I could easily sense her grumpy mood, but cheering her up was tricky. After thinking fast, I promised I would totally tell her my plans before going anywhere from now on. Serena immediately brightened up. Deal. All right, I am heading upstairs then. I have 0 classes tomorrow afternoon, so I am hitting the library. I casually added that I only have 1 single class tomorrow too. I will meet up after. Serena eagerly nodded her head. She watched me head upstairs looking so much happier, even though I never officially promised her anything serious quite yet. She could easily sense my dynamic with Stella had totally shifted. She was absolutely determined to win my heart this time. Back inside the dorm, everyone was hanging out, but the bed beside mine stayed empty. I asked the guys if Harry had returned. They said he went straight home after classes. I simply nodded, guessing his family probably ran into some urgent emergency situation. But pay close attention here. I just sat at my desk, opened a book, and casually started reading as night fell. I simply wanted to wash up and sleep. Meanwhile, over at the military hospital, Stella was fast asleep, but tossing and turning quite anxiously. She was stuck in a dream. She dreamt about me confessing my feelings only for her to completely reject me. The following day, she left for the Southwest Army base. I completely failed my big exam and missed out on university. Everyone suddenly found out about my confession. Because of that wild drama, my poor mom got extremely sick. Stella rushed home that night, but by the time she arrived, I was kicked out and nobody knew where I went. Even though Mom furiously kicked her only son out during a massively heated moment, Stella honestly believed I would just casually wander back home after a few lonely days. But time dragged on and she never found me. My mom eventually faded away with heavy regrets, leaving Stella drowning in endless, bitter guilt. She finally understood her true feelings, but the sweet little brother she raised and protected since childhood was truly gone forever. In that exact moment, Stella felt a huge piece of her heart vanish, leaving behind an empty void she could never fix. That terribly lonely and panic-inducing feeling suddenly jolted Stella awake. She gasped frantically for air. Those wild dream events just kept looping in her head. It felt so unbelievably real, like an actual living memory. Stella suddenly remembered the story I shared earlier today. It lined up with her strange dream absolutely perfectly. What if my story was actually real? My words echoed endlessly inside her head. Stella's wide eyes swirled with absolute chaos. You and I both get this right. Because I survived that past bitterness, I immediately apologized to her in this exact new timeline. I begged her to forget it, fiercely determined to enter Crown University, completely abandoning Southwest University just to stay incredibly far away from her. The harder she thought about this mystery, the more her head pounded with absolute agony. She squeezed her eyes shut. Bizarre memory fragments from another timeline just kept rushing endlessly right into her dizzy mind. It took 30 minutes to finally calm down. By then, every single hidden memory in her mind had turned crystal clear. So Dylan really did suffer through an entire lifetime of pure heartbreak. The clearer those memories got, the worse her heart hurt. No wonder I kept my distance since that big college exam. I never got mad at her coldness. I just pushed her away. In that past timeline, I faded away entirely alone overseas, and she was the main reason why. Now that she finally grasped the harsh truth, she realized our relationship had 0 future. Realizing this, Stella felt her heart practically shatter into pieces. Staring at the pale moonlight, Stella just could not fall back asleep at all. Meanwhile, I was totally oblivious, just sleeping like an absolute rock. The next day, I headed into class, but Harry was mysteriously missing again. Real worry flashed in my eyes. Did something actually terrible happen to Harry? He never skipped a single lecture before, yet he completely vanished today. Even by lunchtime, our friend Harry was still nowhere to be seen. I sprinted back to check our dorm, but it was totally empty. A terrible, heavy feeling suddenly crashed right into my chest. Sitting in the library later, my thoughts were drifting everywhere. Suddenly, Serena's familiar voice interrupted. Noticing my blank stare, she whispered, "What are you dreaming about? You are completely stuck on that page." I looked up softly. Oh, you made it. I have not seen Harry all day. He totally vanished from class. I looked super worried. But trust me, we are not ready for this, she said. Not to worry, but nearby girls whispered that poor guy earlier was so pitiful. Stick with me, you are about to see a crazy drama unfold. He worked relentlessly for Crown University just to be forced out. His dad claims an early marriage brings true stability. This toxic family is destroying his future. They said he is a literature student named Harry. I sprang up instantly, totally startling the two girls gossiping nearby. I demanded to know exactly where the guy they were just talking about was. The faculty office. Hearing that, I sprinted straight out. Serena yelled after me. I completely left my books behind. She quickly grabbed my things and chased after me. The faculty office was far past the main gates. As I ran to the gate, Serena pulled me back hard. They were right over there. I saw Harry getting dragged by a huge, burly man into a waiting car. I yelled his name. Reaching the school gate, the car had sped away, leaving only a trail of white exhaust. I stood completely frozen, my heart dropping. Will I ever see him again? Serena stayed dead silent. She did not know either. I stood still, then resolutely marched straight toward the administration building. Watch closely because we are hunting down the homeroom teacher to get his exact home address right now. I took a step, but Serena stopped me. Are you really going to his house? Looking into my fierce and determined eyes, Serena swallowed her cautious words. She agreed to go. A faint smile crossed my lips. I thanked her. After grabbing the exact address from the office, we immediately rushed toward Harry's house. Stepping out of the car, I stared at the huge traditional courtyard house, took a deep breath, and finally knocked. It took a while. When the door finally cracked open, I saw a middle-aged woman who looked exactly like Harry standing there. I greeted her very politely. Hello, Auntie. I am Dylan, a classmate of Harry. You must be his mom, right? She nodded slightly, but her eyes looked incredibly defensive. I kept a gentle smile, mentioning his studies. Just then, Harry's stubborn screaming echoed from deep inside. Go ahead and end me, Dad. Otherwise, I am going to school. I have to escape this suffocating place. Hearing that scream, his mom lost all interest in us. She ran inside, begging him to stop. He is our only son. Do you want to ruin me? Serena and I quickly followed. Entering the room, I spotted a middle-aged man furiously gripping a rattan cane about to strike. Without hesitating, I lunged forward, shielding Harry with my own body. Serena turned pale and screamed my name. His dad only saw a shadow flash by. Thinking it was his wife, he hastily pulled his swing back. He was fully prepared to scold her, but then realized the person shielding his son was a total stranger around his son's exact age. He frowned deeply and yelled, demanding to know why I broke into his house. Harry was shocked. Now you and I both know this was a crazy move. I was sweating pure fear dodging that cane. I introduced myself politely as Dylan, his classmate. But the dad snapped that his son quit school entirely. He demanded I leave and never visit the Huang family home again. He aggressively kicked me out, but I stood my ground, calmly asking why. He claimed school was just to teach obedience, not talking back to a father. If studying does not make him obedient, what is the actual point? Harry yelled back that his dad just wanted an immediate marriage. He insisted he could survive perfectly well on his own strength. Why the disbelief? The dad roared furiously, telling him to marry early to someone of equal status for his own ultimate good. What did he know? Listening to their fierce argument, I finally understood the root problem. His dad actually loved him deeply. His mindset was just completely outdated. I looked at him and smiled gently, acknowledging his love. You want him married early to secure a bright future, but is that really the only way out? Marriage means shouldering a heavy family burden. What if the person he marries turns out to be a terrible match? What happens then? He growled that nobody would bully his son. I softly replied about invisible pain. So instead of relying on a forced marriage, would it not be better to let him become fiercely independent and master his own life? My daring words left the room in an eerie silence. Everyone stared at me. Harry's dad looked at me thoughtfully, complex emotions flashing in his eyes. Sir, there is truly no need to force him out. Let him study and see his actual future achievements. If he proves he can thrive alone, marriage stops mattering. So what do you and I take from this? True power comes from being fiercely independent. Stick with me. Watch this. Dad finally realized why his son became so incredibly bold. He learned everything from you. So what happens now? Are you seriously planning to stay single forever? Would your folks actually accept that? I just shook my head and gently explained. Sir, you misunderstood me. I never said I would stay single. I want a happy family too, but I refuse to bet all my hopes on just one marriage. Honestly, isn't true independence a person's strongest safety net? Harry's dad went completely silent, deep in thought. Noticing his father wavering, Harry quickly jumped in and played the sweet kid angle. Dad, just trust me this one time. I promise I will live an absolutely amazing life. His dad let out a heavy sigh, keeping totally quiet. Harry breathed a huge sigh of relief, flashing me the brightest smile ever. Leaving the Hong household, Harry pulled me into a massive hug. Dylan, thank you so much. From now on, you are my lifelong soulmate. I laughed and patted his back, but then heard a sharp hiss of pain. I instantly asked what was wrong. Harry winced and explained that even though I protected him today, his dad already hit him yesterday. He struck me for real, and it still hurts like crazy. I frowned with deep worry. Let us grab some ointment from the hospital before returning to school. Finally getting a quick chance to speak. Serena, massive thanks for your help today too. Harry grinned brightly. She just waved her hand, signaling it was absolutely nothing. Now pay close attention here. While rushing to the hospital and waiting for Harry's treatment, Serena suddenly pulls our boy aside for a very serious chat. Her tone turned super serious. Dylan, when that cane came swinging down, why did you recklessly jump in like that? I scratched my head, looking completely innocent. I honestly do not know. It was just natural reflex. Serena let out a soft sigh, gently reaching over to tap my forehead. I am seriously mad at you. Never do that again. My heart practically jumped from my chest. I rubbed my forehead. All right, I promise I will not ever do that again. Seeing me act so obedient, Serena's eyes softened beautifully. She was just about to say something else when a totally familiar voice rang out. Dylan, Serena, and I instantly spun around. It was Stella standing just steps away, staring intensely right at us. Catching me looking so close with another girl, the exact same girl from Phoenix Village, Stella felt absolutely awful and incredibly uncomfortable. She desperately wanted to sprint over and rip us apart, but after that crazy dream last night, she realized she lost that privilege. Stella walked over, asking softly, "Why are you at the hospital? Are you feeling unwell?" "No, my buddy just got injured." I looked right at her, giving a polite little nod. She then softly pleaded, "Dylan, can we find somewhere quiet to talk?" Spotting that obvious hesitation shining in my eyes, Stella could not help feeling completely heartbroken. She quickly added, "About that wild story you told yesterday, I have a few things to say." I was genuinely startled, wondering what she actually meant by this. You and I are probably wondering the same thing. Did she remember their past life? Let us find out as they sit down together. "What do you want to say?" I asked. Stella gazed at me silently for a long moment before finally speaking. "Dylan, I am so sorry. I finally remembered everything from our past life. Because of me, your entire life was completely ruined. I am truly sorry." Surprisingly, hearing those sincere words made my eyes suddenly well up with warm tears. It felt like all the intense pain from my past life was just waiting for this exact moment. Seeing me tearing up, Stella instantly looked completely flustered. "Dylan, do not cry, I was wrong. Your sister was wrong. Can you forgive me?" Hearing Stella call herself my sister left me completely stunned again. Dylan, I fully understand the deep bitterness of your painful past life. I know a romantic future is impossible, but please do not push me away anymore. I will forever be your caring older sister, okay? Looking into Stella's incredibly warm eyes for a split second, it felt like the loving older sister who always spoiled me had finally returned. I flashed a relieved smile. "Yes, you will always be my sister." Stella smiled faintly, but deep down an endless wave of pure sorrow surged. She carefully reached out and gently rubbed my head exactly like the good old days. This time around, I actually survived. All that heavy resentment regarding my tragic past life gradually just faded away. The painful past was officially over. My future was definitely going to be beautiful. However, this seemingly intimate little scene quickly caught Serena's eyes from afar. She mistakenly thought I had just accepted Stella's romantic feelings again. Catching those bright smiles on both our faces, she felt a massive wave of profound loss and disappointment. Then pure anger hit her, angry because she feared I was still being foolish, terrified I would sink back into that nasty mud of gossip. Seeing us walking side by side, Serena could not hold back anymore. She yelled out, "Dylan, I need to talk to you." I was totally startled. Hearing that intense sharpness in her voice, I turned and quickly whispered to Stella, "I will head out first." Stella nodded, a sharp flash of pain crossing her eyes. "And that is where we leave it. Trust me. This wild misunderstanding is going to cause absolute chaos. Stick with me here. This made her completely furious. Stella froze, watching us vanish down the hallway. A weird, heavy emptiness totally crushed her chest. She stood completely frozen for a long second, then finally snapped at her subordinate. Let's move. We are heading back to the military region right now. Meanwhile, Serena dragged me into a super quiet corner down the hall. Seeing her totally upset expression, I awkwardly stammered, "What is wrong? Did something bad happen? Why do you look so mad? Are you making up with her?" She rapid-fired the questions. I was totally stunned, but instantly understood the reason for her anger. Without even realizing it, a super guarded part of my heart just melted. I raised an eyebrow, smirking. "Is that why you are mad? Do I really need to answer? Did you already forget what went down at the school gate?" Serena was so visibly furious she was actually choking on her own words. Her eyes showed intense anxiety mixed with deep disappointment. She stared right at me, her voice suddenly dropping into total heartbreak. "Do you really not see my true feelings? Why always pick her?" Seeing her heartbreaking expression, I just could not let her misunderstand this situation for another second. I did not choose her. Serena was completely drowning in sadness, debating whether to just give up or keep chasing me when she suddenly heard my super gentle, direct answer. That instantly made her completely overjoyed. "What did you just say?" I promised her absolutely nothing. We just totally cleared the air. Every single misunderstanding is finally resolved now. She will always just be a sister to me. Nothing more. Serena felt like she just came back to life. That heavy burden crushing her heart completely vanished. Right in this exact moment, she realized clearer than ever that she absolutely could not lose me. "Watch this bold move." She bravely stepped right up to me, eyes burning with absolute intensity. "Dylan, I really like you. Can you just give us one real chance to be together?" Seeing this girl sincerely confessing right in front of me, all those beautiful memories we shared instantly flashed through my mind. In that very second, my guarded heart completely melted. I suddenly realized I actually had real feelings for Serena too. I was just holding back because I sacrificed everything for Stella before and got absolute zero in return. I was totally terrified to open up again, but now I finally dropped the past for someone who actually cared and treated me right this whole time. Maybe it was finally time to embrace this chance. After a quick second of thought, I just gave a slight, genuine nod. Serena's eyes completely lit up. She was so incredibly happy she stuttered, "Dylan, you just agreed, right?" "Mm-hmm." I bravely stared right into her gentle eyes. Then I slightly nodded one more time. Pure excitement washed over Serena's face, though her hands were still slightly hesitant. She gently reached for my hand, and feeling me grip hers tightly back, she felt completely and utterly fulfilled. "Dylan, I promise I will treat you so well from now on." Serena and I stood there together for quite a while. After talking just a bit more, I gently pulled my hand back and smiled. "Let's go. Harry is probably totally finished with his ointment." Serena eagerly nodded in agreement, that bright smile completely glued to her lips. Heading to the clinic doors, we spotted Harry walking right out. I stepped right up, patted his shoulder, and asked, "How is it? Is the injury serious?" Harry simply shook his head and laughed. "It is fine." I nodded. Then all three of us finally left the hospital gate. Now pay attention to this hilarious shift. As we reached the car, Harry tried opening the door out of pure habit, but Serena smoothly snatched the passenger door for me first. Harry instantly froze, looking wildly back and forth between us. "Hey guys, there is definitely something happening here that I missed, right?" I just smiled shyly, quickly sliding into the back seat right next to him. "Come on, we can just sit in the back together." Serena playfully raised an eyebrow and smiled, completely dropping the matter. She shut the door, hopped into the driver's seat, and slowly pulled away from the hospital. Obviously, Harry was not about to let me off the hook. He leaned close and whispered, "What exactly is going on between you two? Spill it right now. We are totally fine." I completely pretended to play dumb, throwing on an extremely innocent and nonchalant face. "Stop faking it, man. You totally accepted her confession, didn't you?" Harry directly exposed my lie instantly. Honestly, I didn't even want to hide it. I was just acting a bit shy. Seeing Harry totally spell it out, I stopped denying it completely. I just gave a slight nod of admission and smiled. "Yeah." Harry finally looked like he just solved the biggest mystery in the world. He laughed teasingly. "What are you even thinking?" he loudly called up to Serena in the driver's seat. "Hey, Serena, your long-held wish finally came true today. Shouldn't you treat us to a massive meal?" Serena smiled and nodded. "Of course, name the place. We will go right now. Harry immediately shook his head. Just treating me is not enough. You gotta treat our entire dorm, Serena replied with zero hesitation. Deal. Then invite my whole dorm too. We will all eat together. Serena is truly super generous. Exactly right. Through the rearview mirror, Serena's eyes perfectly met mine. We both shared a really warm smile. So what do we think, guys? A perfect ending. The group picked a restaurant near Crown U. Harry called everyone, and 30 minutes later the whole squad arrived. Stick with me here. Her roommate sat down, demanding to know. Serena, what is the big news today? Why this huge treat? Such a wild surprise. Obviously it is, because our Serena has something huge to announce. Harry laughed so mischievously. What exactly is this news? Tell us already. The curious girls chimed in. Well, we should probably ask the two main characters right here. Harry gestured straight at us. Right then, Serena and I sat close together. Getting stared at by all those eyes felt super awkward. Uncontrollably, the tips of my ears turned completely red. Serena was blushing a cute pink, too. Under the table, her hand quietly reached over, holding mine tight and gently squeezing to calm my racing nerves. Okay, today's dinner is for something super important. Dylan and I are finally a couple. Absolutely awesome. You finally caught him. Huge congrats, Dylan. You incredibly lucky guy. What a perfect match. Whenever you guys tie the knot, invite us for drinks. Hearing their totally genuine blessings, I smiled brightly, nodding my thanks. Below the table, my hand stayed tightly locked together with my Serena. From that amazing moment on, outside of classes, Serena and I were totally inseparable. Our vibe was incredibly sweet. Harry even joked it gave him a toothache. Initially, I felt rather shy. I suggested to Serena we should show some restraint keeping distance in public, but she completely refused, claiming she worked way too hard to become my girlfriend. She just wanted to stick by my side every second. Honestly, her adorable shamelessness rubbed off on me. I gradually relaxed completely. Meanwhile, Stella occasionally visited Crown U for me. Occasionally, she would drop off things for me or ask me to eat. I agreed to hang out, but honestly, I only saw her as a sister. No romantic feelings existed at all. Watch closely now. Stella saw the truth, bitterly realizing in her heart that no turning back existed anymore. The weather slowly shifted into freezing winter. I wore a white padded coat, sporting a black wool scarf wrapped tight. Stepping right out of the classroom, I immediately spotted Serena in an army green jacket. She wore a matching scarf just in vibrant red. Waiting patiently, she smiled so brightly seeing me walk out. She hurried over, happily greeting me. Heading to the library now, I nodded. Yeah, exams approach, gotta review everything. You literally study so hard already. Even without reviewing, you would absolutely pass this test. Looking heartbroken, Serena held my hand. I am fine, not tired. We stepped out of the lecture hall, walking toward the library. Suddenly, we bumped into Harry near the school gate. Hey, Dylan, your sister came looking for you. She is waiting by the gate. Since Stella visited Crown U frequently, Harry easily recognized her. I nodded slightly vaguely, guessing why she came here today. Is the military really that incredibly free right now? Serena stood beside me, rolling her eyes. She muttered sarcastically. Glancing at her, I found it hilarious. Why not hit the library? I will talk to her and return quickly. I am coming too, Serena insisted. The two of us approached the gate together. Instantly seeing me, Stella's eyes lit up radiantly. You feel that tension, right? Seeing the girl beside me? Stella's smile froze. Need something? I asked while Stella struggled. Her forced smile looked incredibly bitter. I was just thinking your holiday break starts very soon. Sadly, I cannot head back until the year finally ends. So I just dropped by to check on you, asking exactly when your break begins. I wanted to buy your bus tickets early to make everything way easier for you. Mentally calculating the dates to answer, Serena quickly interrupted me. Oh, absolutely no need for all that extra trouble. He is heading back with me. We will obviously buy our tickets together. Stella stared. She lowered her eyes sadly. Taking forever to force a weak smile, she finally agreed. If you two travel together, I can relax. After that absolute silence, the atmosphere felt suffocating. Honestly, Stella totally wanted to stay and chat longer, but she knew she had to leave immediately. Well, I am leaving now. Head inside, you two. I nodded. Drive super safe, saying that Serena and I turned, walking back inside. Stella stood silently, just watching us walk away side by side. The girl whispered something sweet into the boy's ear, making an incredibly bright, happy smile bloom. Her heart shattered completely. Without those past mistakes, the one standing beside him right now would definitely be her instead. What do you and I learn? Time never flows backwards. Stick with me here. Exams finished, and Serena and I headed straight back to Phoenix Village in that white Santana. We pulled up right outside the Smith house. Just as I reached for the door to step out, Serena completely locked onto my hand. Her eyes were totally pleading. What about us? What exactly do we do now? I just shook my head. It is not the right time yet. Let me talk to my folks first, so you head home for now. Serena had to give in. She said okay, but her fingers simply refused to let me go. Before I could even say another word to calm her down, my mom shouted right outside the car. Dylan, is that really you? I jumped out of my skin. I whipped around and locked eyes with both mom and dad. Seriously, I just wanted to vanish into thin air right then. I turned and glared at Serena in pure panic. Serena never expected getting caught red-handed either, but she played it so cool. Just get out there. I stepped up and hugged my parents. I am back. Serena politely chimed in too. Hello, Uncle and Auntie. I am Serena. My mom kept looking between us both. Her face was totally unreadable. I was sweating bullet as absolutely quiet. Finally, after what felt like forever, Mom broke the silence. I know you are Dylan's classmate. Thanks for bringing him back. It is freezing out here. You really should hurry home before it gets dark. I know what you are thinking. Serena expected a heavy interrogation, digging into our private stuff. But Mom tactfully just told her to leave. Honestly, she looked a little bit heartbroken for a second. I felt it too, but I shook it off and told Serena to go. Having zero options left, she just drove away. Inside, my folks casually asked about school and life. But then, boom, they cut straight to the whole Serena situation. Are you dating Serena? We know we just will not push you. I gave a tiny nod, finally confessing it. What about Stella? I quickly jumped in, saying I already made things perfectly clear. She fully knows where Serena and I stand right now. Do not worry, Mom and Dad. Everything is fine. Hearing that, Mom finally let out a massive sigh of relief. Over the next few days, we bought New Year's stuff, cleaned up, and decorated the whole house. I even snuck out sometimes to hang with Serena. Just like that, boom, New Year's Eve arrived. Did Stella not say she was returning today? It is getting late. Where is she? Mom kept standing by the door, staring outside, anxiously waiting for her return. Mom, do not stress. She promised she would come, so she will. Oh wait, look, she is back. Now you and I need to watch this part. A Jeep rolled up, parked, and Stella stepped right out. Spotting us, she rushed over. Dylan, Mom, I am home. Mom smiled, so glad you made it. We thought you would miss the reunion dinner. I flashed a huge smile, welcoming her back. Then all three of us headed inside. The epic New Year's feast looked amazing. Our family of 4 happily gathered around for a super warm dinner. Dad and Stella were hyped up and had a few extra drinks. But since Dad is a total lightweight, Mom had to drag him off to his room to rest. Stella was definitely looking a little bit tipsy too. Leaning back, she rested her chin on her hand. I whispered, "Are you drunk?" Stella gently shook her head. That usual arrogant spark in her eyes, totally gone. She stared deep into my eyes, really looking at her younger brother. It felt like she was holding something major back. Dylan, are you truly happy now? I answered without any hesitation. Of course, right now I am incredibly happy. Stella just nodded. Then that is good. She stood up, adding, I bought fireworks. Let's light them outside. I followed her straight out to the yard, grabbing those little sparklers. I happily waved them around. Stella quietly watched my big smile. In that fiery glow, she gently smiled too. Maybe this was enough. Just standing right beside him as his older sister. What do you and I think? Maybe this was her absolute best happy ending.